a reflection into real with Mr. Tarun Katial, ex-CEO Z5. Welcome to both of you. And over to you, Mr. Katial.
Uh,
Tarun.
Hi, Anubhav. Thank you so much for making it. I know you're in faraway jungles in Assam, and you've made the time to be with us and talk to us about, your journey in filmmaking. And two of us can really give people a view about what's happening with digital and digital content. So it'll be really exciting. We have 30 minutes, and I think we're going to fall short, but let's go.
Happy to talk to you. I'll end up learning something new from you.
No, not at all. But Anubhav, I've seen you, and we've known each other for a couple of decades, and we've seen you grow as a filmmaker immensely. And almost you're turning the wheel of getting inspired through real life into real, and the digital medium becoming big in India almost happened at the same time. And we had the good fortune at Z5 to be able to host your film Mulk, which I think was really one of the big turning points of real and reflection into real. So talk to a little bit about that, and then your journey from there into Article 15, into Thappad, and into a lot of the other very exciting projects that you're doing beyond that.
I think I really got lucky with.
Hi, hi.
I
think we're losing Anubhav.
So I don't know if I'm live or not.
I think we've kind of lost you, Anubhav, just as we started. Can somebody come in and help us?
So we are just connecting with this team.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
We can also hear you back. Okay, let's go. Let's go. We can hear you.
So it's okay. I can't see you. That means we're still live.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Okay. So I think I got lucky when I came to Bombay. The media in India was came over, which was satellite TV. ZV and then Sony and Star and the and I met. I think that's where I got to make my films, my content, and I think it's just sheer providence that when I would transition into films that will be about the world around and about the society.
You can switch off his video, and maybe that will save us bandwidth. I think he's dropped off. He'll come back. Yeah, he's back.
So
No problem. No problem. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. You can put your video off. Maybe it'll save bandwidth. My God. What should we do?
I'm really very, very sorry, sir. I think he's shooting somewhere in the forest area in Assam, and that's why we are not able to connect. We are just trying from our end. Please allow us few moments.
Okay, cool problem. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, he's coming. It's coming on. Hi. Good. Thank you. Just stop the video and keep it off. Anubhav, you can keep your video off. That's fine. Anubhav, can you hear me? I think we can. You can switch your video off. We can hear you though.
So, dear audiences, I am really very sorry for this inconvenience, but he is actually shooting in the forest area. That's why, and he is trying his best. Our team is also trying. Mr. Katial, would you like to give some insights to our audiences on this topic?
Sure. Actually, let me see if I can actually get him onto my. Then it'll be okay. On his phone also, we can do this quickly. Yeah. So our subject was a very interesting topic, right? Which was a real reflection into real.
Great.
Anubhav's really been famous about making films that get inspired by real life. Now, the way digital media has really evolved over the last almost 3 or 4 years, is that the big difference that we've been able to make. Yeah, okay, I've got Anubhav, so let's see if we can get.
Yes, yes, sure, sir.
Okay, Anubhav, I'm going to put this. Can you guys hear it?
Hi, Tarun.
Yeah, I'm going to use WhatsApp for your audio. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's bizarre. I can't see it.
Don't
So
worry.
we don't need the WebEx at all.
If we can get, if it works, it works. Otherwise, can you hear him? Can you hear him?
I can hear you, but it's
No, I'm just
not
asking.
great.
Yes.
You
We
guys
can
hear?
we can hear both of you. So
Okay.
that's
Go.
interesting.
We'll go. Okay. So Anubhav, we were talking about your turning point, and you were talking about how when you came into the city and you started working with satellite television and Star, Sony, and Z after Doordarshan. And I remember Seahawks was one of your early serials, and then you started on your journey on cinema. But just the real in real and real really started to merge up for Mulk. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So when I was when I conceived Mulk, I was there was nobody who would back the film because it was one such content which was not Bollywood, and it was not really entertaining cinema. And even before I started writing it, I was almost sort of aware because I've been around long enough to know that it's difficult to raise money for something like this. And as it turned,
until the Z group, including yourself, came to back it through Mr. Deepak Mukut, and that's how the film really got made because Z5 put in an sort of showed interest to buy it for the digital rights, and that is for me the transition into films that will basically be liked a lot by the OTT platforms, the digital platforms that were now sort of coming in and going aggressively to buy digital rights of films. And that is where the films so right after Mulk, I was going to make Article 15, and then everybody was interested in the film, and that went on Netflix, and then Thapar went on Amazon, and so our subject today, if we talk about the real cinema and it has a serious connection with the advent of OTT in India. And as much as you are interested in knowing what the filmmaker side of it, I'm very interested in knowing how did the OTT platforms think of these films as viable films for them, which were not apparently so viable on in the traditional Indian theatrical scene. Though Mulk and Thapar in Article 13 all did well in theaters also, but there are films that are sort of only meant for that will work better on OTT platforms. So how does OTT gauge that, and when did you sort of get it? And all these things is also very intriguing for me. But it for me, to answer your question, happened almost like providence that I thought of this idea, and guess what? It was largely funded by the digital interest.
I think the point you're making is fundamentally that OTT allows for diversity. When we all started on our OTT journey, we realized that until we were able to give people diverse tastes, and people were coming in from television or for films, right, into OTT. On television, they've had for years, and I'm partly to blame. And some of you didn't take part in that journey right up in 99 2000. But a lot of the wave of daily soap television didn't allow for too much diversity in the kind of storytelling to come in, right? And the very real, relevant storytelling went away. I remember, Ratnan, you made a show with us many, many years ago called Seher. I don't know whether you remember, uh, and it's about 20 years ago. But it was a very real and raw show. And I think that found its second coming on OTT, where people were ready to pick up the threads of having a reflection of what is happening in their life and to be able to see that on screen. Also, let me give you a very sociological movement, right? So India, from being very stark in its real life, also became
No, Tarun, I can barely hear you. Tarun, I can barely hear you. You have to call me back.
Okay. Okay, wait.
Just about.
Yeah.
No,
Wait.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, now better. It's
Okay.
very bad suddenly. It's not never this bad.
No problem. So I think what really happened was that as the sociological changes that were happening in the Indian society, right, the middle class came up, and both the lower and the upper middle class were able to see their life more objectively on cinema, and that really changed the game for us. Coupled with diversity and the real life being, we being able to accept our real life as it existed, that really gave digital the opportunity to invest in content like this, and I think it did fantastically. So you have also told me that after you put Mulk out, you've got reactions from the world, and putting content out on digital allowed you to be able to keep content for posterity, for people to be able to keep consuming it forever and ever. Because till now, either you released your film on cinema, or it got some outing on some movie channels or Hindi entertainment channels sometimes a year, right? But this video on demand convenience actually allowed for it to be consumed at all times. How did you feel about that? And talk to us a little bit about how people keep reacting about that.
I'm so sorry. I can barely hear you. I'm almost guessing your question, but I will say certain things that I think you have asked me. And it's very strange. When can you hear me clearly though?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Fantastic. So, it's very strange. It was the same audience in the early 90s that you guys were launching the television channels, the satellite channels. And if you notice, over the coming years, the satellite television content actually went into the cinema of the 70s and the 80s. Very, family, which is, I mean, nothing to look down upon, but that's a kind of content that the television space, which was almost sort of, free to watch, sort of free, even though it wasn't really free, but it was free to watch. And, and then we got into several years later, roughly 2 decades later, we got into OTT. It's the same audience, maybe a different generation that has grown up, but it is actually now. So there are three different types of people which are supporting the content. One is television, one is web content, let's say OTT, and one is the traditional Indian theatre. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So now, earlier this content, which is now web content, web platforms are happy to support even without the support of the theatrical subset, let's say. There are certain films, like all three of my films, they worked on two platforms. I mean, actually also on satellite, which actually subscribes to more of very so sort of over the top emotion, etc. But still, they ended up doing well, which I got fortunate. But now the good news is that OTT is happy to support independently films. So then you see films like Serious Men and a whole lot of other films which are being made in Hollywood, which are like films as big as Scorsese's films, uh, which are so big. Now that is a very good and welcome sign, besides the minor hiccups that we see here and there vis-a-vis self-regulation and censorship and whatnot. But that is a very welcome sign, and I'm hoping that I don't know where this knowledge came from to you that this content will be like Bulk being the earlier ones, where a film was releasing in theaters, and it was sort of dry. There was no humor, there was no music, there was no comedy, but still it became what it became. So that I think we will keep on exploring more such. I'm happy that OTTs are making money with this content, such content, and they will keep experimenting more and more. And I'm hoping that more and more kind of content will develop, and as the new generation of filmmakers, younger filmmakers is coming in, they will have more experiments, and yeah,
No,
so good stuff going.
talk to me a little bit about how a sense of purpose, So I can tell you out of my own experience that digital audiences, and at least the early on, and even the ones which are now converting on to digital, have a strong sense of purpose. They've been able to relate to content that identifies with giving back to society or altering mindsets for the society, right? And you've been able to do that with all of these three films. So talk to me a little bit about how talent is taking to that, how writers and how actors are taking to this strong sense of purpose that digital is providing as a platform.
I remember long back, I was talking to Kashyap. He was writing a film, and Anubhav Kashyap, and we had reached a stage where we were second guessing the censor board. We were trying to cross some lines, some boundaries, and we were second guessing the censor board. And thankfully, especially with my films, I have had a wonderful experience with the CBFC. My films, had no problems. So what is happening with this now is, with OTT and the self-regulation and CBFC also opening up, the newer generation is finding newer things that can be said in public domain, and a lot of such content, and also outside of this, also a whole lot of stories which were very local stories, a story in say a small village in Jharkhand, or a story set in Orissa. People now have more courage to write such stories, and a lot of it is largely because of the response of the audience that they gave to a lot of films which looked sort of niche, but did very well on these platforms, and which I think is a very good sign. In times to come, the newer generation, the younger generation, and the OTT platforms put together, and even in theatrical, a lot of films which were deemed experimental and niche have done very well in theaters before the lockdown. And I think the kind of content we will put out in times to come will explode.
I agree with you. I think we did a couple of experiments at Z5 with Kagas and Nail Polish. One with a new director and writer it was his second film called Bugs Bhargava, and it was a psychological thriller with a personality disorder, a niche subject at the start, but did exceedingly well. And then there was Pankaj Tripathi's Kagas with Satish Kaushik, which is, like you said, a very small town story. And that did wonders for us. Nobody thought that a film like that would do so well, but it's possibly our top film after competing with Uri and numbers like that. So I think I'm going to end it here by saying that digital has a huge amount of scope for new talent, and directors like you can mentor a new generation of writers, of makers, of actors who are going to be able to find their calling on a platform and set of platforms that allow real, resonant, reflecting content that has a strong sense of purpose. So thank you so much, Anubhav. I know we had a hiccup in the beginning, but we found alternative technology, and it was really good speaking to you. Have a really, really good shoot and stay safe.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhav.
Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. Thank you for the makeup which sir has done wonderfully. We sincerely apologize for inconvenience of few minutes, but at the same time, that all well what ends well. At least we were able to hear amazing views of Mr. Sinha on the subject. Thank you once again to both of you. Thanks to our partner, design partner, YZ, media partner, Financial Express, PR partner, We Communicate. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.